Thanks a million for jumping on. Anyway, I suppose before we crack into anything, I just want to kind of tee up, the conversation for listeners, and after that, it'd be good to get an introduction for yourself, and we can figure out where we're going from there, and see what happens with the conversation. So look, I mean, it's obvious that we're in an unprecedented level of disruption, both in our personal and professional lives. People's ability to kind of put food on the table and keep the lights on have just absolutely been decimated with the spread of the coronavirus. And I mean, the government have implemented measures around social distancing, which is obviously very necessary. But no matter how necessary it is, I don't know if that helps comfort people when they're trying to figure out how to pay the bills when they're probably staring at the bottomless pit at the minute. Especially if you've got a family or any of that kind of if you have anyone depending on you for income. So I mean, we're specifically obviously involved in the fitness industry, so we'll focus around that. But an awful lot of people are going to have two choices. They can either sit back and hope that they can weather the storm, or try and adapt to the situation and survive, and look, possibly even thrive, depending on whatever the personal situation is there. Now, as I was saying, we had a quick chat yesterday and we covered some good ground, but we'll obviously cover that again today for the listeners. But before we do that, I'd love to, if you can just give an introduction to yourself and your background and your business and your what kind of drives you as well.
Oh, well, you caught me on that one now, because I could be here for a while giving all background on myself, but I'll try to do a quick skim. So
Go for it.
So I was born on the 3rd of March, 1980. My background was predominantly in athletics. That's how I met Ross, how I'm friends with Ross. I was in WIT on an athletic scholarship back in 2010, I think it was. Graduated recreational sport management degree. And after 40 operations, got into the safer sport of mixed martial arts. Obviously, then followed up to professional level, fought on like Obama and Bellator. But basically, my whole time, my profession has been a fitness instructor, working in places like I said, Greenbank Leisure Club in Carlow, Kingfisher Club in Waterford. I managed Whites of Wexford, the Clayton Whites Hotel. And then I worked in the WIT arena then as well. Finally worked up the courage last February to open up my own fitness facility. We called it Urban Gym. It's New Ross's first boutique-style fitness facility. I call it boutique. It's more like boutique on a budget. It's myself in the gym, manager in that sense, and cleaner and all that. And then Marina, my wife, looks after all of our graphic design. Work very much as a team. We just generally love everything health and fitness. And what I must say about everything health and fitness, I'm all about promoting like positive well-being, in the sense of I feel that what goes on between here is nearly more important than what's going on below here. So I think how you feel is where it's at. So we're all about promoting the idea of like we want people walking into a gym and leaving in a better state of mind. And that's what we're doing now with our live workouts while this whole coronavirus is going on. We're just having a crack with them, if I'm totally honest. I think that's what people need right now. They need a bit of a G up to get up off the couch. I think sometimes people can be a little bit flat with certain workout styles and that, and people are just looking at 12 reps, 4 sets, and 2 minutes recovery, 3 minutes recovery, all that sort of stuff. I don't maybe think it's going to be enough to get people up and get them active. Certainly people who maybe aren't that active at the moment already, and then you have all the financial stress that's going to come on for us all, myself included. So we're just having a crack with it. So that's a bit of my background of where we are right now with the current situation. It's challenging, but I think that's life in general. I think we all have to be made feel uncomfortable, otherwise we'd never move. So I think that's really applicable to today's life at the moment, with the coronavirus.
Definitely. So, I mean, let's go into that a little bit more about, how first of all, how you've been impacted, and how you plan on kind of responding to the situation that's arisen. It's definitely pushed people so far outside of their comfort zones that I don't think their comfort zones are in sight anymore. So, I'd be really interested, because you've been involved in the fitness industry a lot longer than I have. I mean, you've built your career in the fitness industry, and you've seen like a lot of change go on. You've seen trends come and go. You've seen the impact that social media has. I don't think anything has had the same impact. Like, this coronavirus has just turned the entire industry on its head. So how has it impacted you guys, and how are you guys kind of trying to deal with that and orientate yourselves in a very different market now?
Yeah, well, look, obviously the coronavirus it's unprecedented, but I've been in the industry a long time in terms of the fitness industry, and I was working in the industry, when the recession hit. I remember working in Greenbank Health and Leisure Club, and I'll be honest, when I first went in as a young 16-year-old on work experience, this place had a reception, a gym. Now, it wasn't big now, and then it had a studio and a swimming pool, and so you got 4 areas, let's just say, and there could have been at any stage 12 members of staff on a shift. I'm not even joking. I think it was just good crack, if I'm totally honest. And then, you have someone on reception. You have your duty manager, the main leisure centre manager will be there. There'll be 2 fitness instructors. There'll be 1 on the gym. So then when one will go and teach a class, there'll be 1 left on the gym. And then there was a lifeguard then down at the pool. And then there'll also be a lifeguard cover, so that when the lifeguard went on air lunch, there's still a lifeguard there at the pool. Now, that was when things were going great, as in the boom. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, the recession hit. And what happened? Then we had 1 person on reception, and then we had 1 person that you man in the gym and the pool. So you go from having maybe 10 to 12 members of staff on to the complete opposite, where health and safety was nearly out the gap. I probably shouldn't name the gym, but I think, to be honest, it's fair enough naming the gym, because I think every gym and leisure centre did the same thing. There's cuts everywhere. Now, I feel what needs to be done, what was done by a lot of us as instructors back then, was we really got proactive. I think rather than being reactive to a situation, you got to be proactive, and that's something that we're doing. We kind of followed stories, obviously, what's going on in Italy, what's been going on in China. It was inevitable that something was going to be happening around the corner. So, you're kind of forecasting a little bit. So again, even with my former job when I was managing White's, let's just say, leisure centre manager role, you're doing a lot of forecasting. You have your budgets and you have your targets and that. So this forecasting is going on. You're in sales. You know the drill with that. So me with my own gym now with my wife, and I've got 2 young kids. It's scary times, but you know what? Like, I fought MMA professionally. I think when you do something like that, and you've walked into an atmosphere like a 3 arena, you walk down that ramp and go into a cage to compete against someone, that's pretty scary too, or at least a lot of people think it is. But when you go in there and you come out the other side, you're okay, then you know what, you think you can handle things. So that's kind of the mindset I have with the business side now. I just genuinely love what I do. So I think, if I'm honest, I think a lot of time when people genuinely have a love for what they do and they're passionate about it and they're creative, I think you look for opportunities rather than problems. So you ask, how do we get through this? And I think for a lot of trainers, my advice would be, 1, be yourself, because at the end of the day, there's however many billion people in this world right now, but there's no one that's like you. So people probably look at my workouts or my live workouts, and some of them will hate them, and some of them think, geez, he's a bit cracked, or he's this, or he's that. But some people will love it. And I do feel you attract your tribe through the vibe that you put out. So I was saying to you yesterday on the phone, I think now for a lot of gyms and a lot of trainers, a lot of PTs, and even for the general public especially anyway, it's like swiping through Tinder. You get to see so many different good level instructors and lots of great content, great information. You can swipe, you can find whichever trainer you get a buzz on from, whichever one you think you're going to enjoy spending time with. So, like, it's a great time in that sense if people can open the mind a little bit and trainers can maybe more so hone in on themselves rather than worrying about what everybody else is doing. Really, like, okay, think, okay, where can I improve? What do I enjoy doing? What do I want to put out there? So, yeah, finding opportunities in what is a bit of a negative situation, but I think in every negative situation there are positives if you look hard, you know.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense, and it would make sense that an awful lot of your discipline in terms of cage fighting is it's very transferable and applicable when it comes to, it's just dealing adversity. It doesn't matter about what's actually in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, you either go around it, go over it, or if necessary, you go through it. And on that point, then, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
No, I said, like, you were a sprinter, Ross. Do you know what I mean? So you were a sprinter. So you had, like, I really think about that whole idea of like tunnel vision in terms of, like, the goal is to get to that end line. The quickest route is in that straight line. So I think there's an element of, like, really just honing in now. There's an opportunity for us all to, like, take that bit of a pause, a bit of a reset, and do a self-audit. Just focus on your lane, focus on your task.
Yeah.
You know, what you have to do, what we have to do. Do you know what I mean? And not just the fitness industry. I'm talking everything. Like, do you know what I mean? I know it's easy to be far out this. I've got to apply stuff myself as well, and I am trying, and I will be applying a lot of this stuff as well. But I think there are certain blessings within this. And like I said, going back to you mentioned the MMA discipline of mine, but same with your own sprinting and that as well. I think, if we really hone in on our own lane and like really focus on ourselves in terms of what we want to do, where we want to go, you have much clearer sight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I'm looking at it again from a slightly different perspective, because I've always said I had dabbled in the fitness industry. I've dipped the toes in, but I haven't taken the full plunge, as it were. Steph, my partner, she definitely has, and she lives and breathes this stuff. And I can see how she's, taking a similar approach to yourself, where she's responded to the market. She's like, okay, first and foremost, we need to pay attention to the community that we built up and make sure that they're still getting their workouts in, at their home. And it's about for her, it's really about putting the customer first. And then, once she knows that they're in a good place, then we can go, okay, now we need to look at cash flow, because at the end of the day, it is a business and you do need to make money in order to put food on the table and all of that sort of stuff. So we're quite fortunate because, as you mentioned, I'm in IT sales, which, again, it gives me a very different perspective, because when you're dealing in technology, you're just dealing with constant disruption. There is always some new tool, some new software that you're going to have to contend with or compete with in a sales cycle. It's insane. And the pace of what the IT moves is so quick that as soon as you feel like, you're just getting your feet underneath you and okay, I feel like I know what I'm doing, everything has changed already. So when I'm looking at the fitness industry now in terms of what's going on, I'm saying, like, okay, so the fitness industry mainly relies, and it hasn't really evolved that much. Like, there's so many different ways to skin that cat in terms of, build muscle, lose fat loss. But if you strip it down to the bare bones, there's a very limited amount of kind of objectives that a person can have when it comes to getting healthier. And everyone can put their own sort of their veneer on it.
Yeah.
But a lot of it has kind of, at some stage, if you're providing a service, it relies on, face-to-face interaction at some stage. I think that's how most of the personal trainers in Ireland operate. It's either through group classes or what. Now, you see a few guys in the US and they're 100% online business. And that's how they've kind of scaled their business, and that's how they're helping that work. But I do think that if personal trainers are to kind of survive, they're going to have to get very digital savvy. They're going to have to get very, very technologically competent in a very, very short space of time. And the ones that can do that the quickest, the ones that can change their go-to-market strategy, where it's like, okay, I was doing face-to-face or I was doing group training where I had people in the room. Now I'm going to have to sort it out virtually, and commoditize that and earn a living from that some way. They're going to be the ones to make them, the most money the fastest and provide that service that people actually need. So, like, do you have anything like that kind of on your radar, or are you taking a completely different sort of perspective or approach on it?
Yeah, no, look, I think you're dead right. I think you do see it. It's like a rush. It's like a shark is after entering the water here, and just every trainer at the moment just come running out of the sea. It's like there's a shark, whatever, and everyone's rushing to the online stage. It literally is. It's like, and it's like every trainer for himself. It's like, get me out of here, get me out of the water.
Yeah,
I get that feel, I get that vibe. I get this feel that everyone's trying to, everyone's now like walking down, along a beach with a camera in front, talking like Phil Graham, or they're just, everyone's got their NCF manual out and they're talking about like a squat, and they're trying to focus so much on making sure I don't make a mistake on my teaching points because other trainers are watching me or this or that. And I do bring it back to what you were saying there. Yes, there's technology now, but it all comes back to, I feel anyway, the personal touch, the personal approach. Like that, I think online, for me and my facility, I think it all comes back to the vision for each individual gym. But I'm not a commercial gym. I know, I can tell you straight up, I know every single member and person by first name that comes through my gym's door. And that's no exaggeration, that's no lie, because I'm on camera here. I feel that my members will back me up on that. And I welcome everybody by first name. And my approach right now is keeping, my members that I have currently coming into me happy and make sure they're engaged and we're having a bit of crack, we're having the same banter. I can offer the same service more or less just from my living room to your living room now. The only thing that has changed, it's like the fight game for me. When I'm sparring or when I was sparring, and then I go out and I actually fight in a competitive stage, the only thing that changes is the environment. I'm just going from a cage that was in my training environment to now a cage in, front of an audience, let's just say. But the actions are still the same, just maybe a bit more intense. So the bigger challenge for me really is just getting that same energy that I have in my classes across this screen right now. I'm even talking to you. So what I try to do is I do all my stuff live. I know the trainers will say, I should get that onto, private groups and then do a charge or this or do that. But no, I generally get a buzz off having the crack with everybody. We had a game of cards the other night, a fitness game of cards, and I just turned the card and everyone's coming on live and I'm virtually going, okay, so Stephen, pick a card. I'm like picking cards and moves. So we're doing 12 air spots or whatever. And then people are interacting with Steve and say, Jesus, Stephen, or whoever picks up burpees. But I think that's the element is like I think, was it Jimmy Carr, someone once said as well about jokes and stuff like that. Like, people were saying, did ever people get really offended or this or that with your jokes? And he said, well, look, the aim of the game for him a lot of time is like, people often don't remember a joke, but they remember how you made them feel. And for me, in the gym, whether I'm here at my house, like this is in my house, I should maybe turn around. I just brought a banner behind me, but I'm sat in a sitting room area here. Like, it's all about making people feel, and that's the biggest thing for me. And I generally get a real high from everybody else. I'm in here doing these workouts, patting on my own with Marina behind the camera, and I still feel the energy. That keeps me motivated, and it kind of encourages me to keep doing what I do. And hopefully this whole storm will blow over if everyone listens to what's being told, like, social distancing. I should say physical distancing, not social distancing, because we can still be very social like this right now. So we just can't. So as much as I want to reach it there, Ross, but like, well, no, I think we can be connected. I really feel we can still be connected. But I think there's a lot of trainers maybe out there now. Just need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Don't worry about what other people are thinking or saying.
Yeah.
Just be themselves, put themselves out there, and have a bit of fun doing it as well. Like I was saying, attracting your tribe through your vibe. The people you don't want in your gym, they're not going to come in because the people who don't enjoy your style of training, they're not going to come in anyway. So you're only going to attract the people who want to train with your energy. So I know it sounds a bit voodoo-y, like the secret in a way, but that is it. So just get out and have the crack and be professional. You've got your qualifications, chin up, chest out, and engage with people. Make people want to get up off the couch and take part.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. I mean, if nothing else, because people are probably a little bit less busy, they can actually have a think about, what is unique about me as a personal trainer, and what does my ideal client look like? Because if I had somebody who was, like, looking to do a bodybuilding competition or something like that, that's not me. I could give you a program. I could get you so far, but that's not where my niche is at. If I had somebody coming to me and saying, I need to get more flexible or something like that, that's not my stick. That's not where I perform.
Yes.
So and it's recognizing that you're not necessarily competing with every other personal trainer out there as well. I think an awful lot of people in personal trainer, you're competitive by nature, because we've all sort of had our past disciplines, and you all have that sort of competitive nature inside you. But you need to know kind of who your competitors are as well, and who your competitors aren't, probably more importantly.
Yeah.
Very often you gain more credibility by saying to somebody, do you know what? I'm not the right personal trainer for you, but I know who is. It's this guy over here because he's done X, Y, Z. Like if I had somebody coming to me saying, "Oh, I'm going to do an MMA fight," I'm not going. I've never set foot in a cage. I've never even been in it. I'd get the head battered off me. I'm going to send them down to Andy, who's actually has experience. Who's been, you were with Yuri Faber off of the UFC. You were training in his camp and stuff like that. So,
California.
That looked absolutely fantastic. That's so everybody has their kind of their stick that they're going to go after, like.
Yeah.
What are the other things?
Using the network, Ross. I think even as trainers, for me, I've been in the game a long time, so I would know a lot of trainers. Do you know what I mean? So I know who to maybe direct people to, and I think that's a smart thing to do, and I think it shows your knowledge as a trainer then as well. It's not showing a weakness by guiding someone else. I use the analogy for me for a lot of time as leading people to the water, whereby I get people confident in terms of they walk through the gym for the first time, they're nervous, and the first thing they normally get would be me making eye contact and a big hello. I actually see, if I'm totally honest, Ross, I see myself as a hello salesman. You're in sales. I see myself as a hello salesman. I say hello to everybody. And I just feel people say hello to me. It makes you feel a lot warmer. And again, I've had people come into the gym and I know the name before they come in, because I'll notice there's a new name on the list for a class I've not seen before. So I see that one new person come in, I know their name, and then they're often shocked that I know the name. Oh, she's the name. I'm like, well, again, it comes back because I know my members. So I think that's a big thing as well. And I think maybe even more so now, rather than just focusing on, like, a lot of people trying to attract new members and this and that. I think it's more about taking, like, even as an alpha male, perfect example, they often say protect the house. And that's really what I'm doing now. I've got Marina here, I've got my 2 kids. Once we have food on the table, my bills are paid here, I'm happy. I'm a man of very little needs now, if I'm totally honest with you. I'm pretty happy with the simple things in life. Things like you can't buy your time, and that's something I'm really valuing at the moment. So even at the moment, like, my members that I have, I'm in contact with, I'm messaging, I'm making sure to reply to the messages that come in my way. I'm sending outbound stuff to the guys in as well. I think that's what it's all about. Looking after your own tribe, and then obviously then there will be others maybe who will come in and they'll feel part of it then because of what we're doing anyway, because we make people feel welcome. But I think there's an element to that, like, at the moment, rather than hunting numbers, I'm not a numbers game guy, if I'm honest. I've done that whole commercial gym stuff, and it wasn't for me. I didn't really enjoy that whole looking at numbers on an Excel spreadsheet going higher. I'd actually rather see someone improve physically and mentally, and say, I hear a lot of positive feedback from members in terms of how they're feeling. That's how I gauge my own performance. Not necessarily, I know other trainers be watching this now, but it's bottom line, it's bottom line. That's their game. That's totally cool. But if I'm honest, like, once I have the game, I have my stuff here, I'm pretty happy. So maybe someone might be watching this, Ross. Shit, I shouldn't be watching that. I should be watching Phil Graham or whoever. This guy go sales. It's all about their sales. Like, look, yeah, maybe, but look, I just have to crack doing what I do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Look, I think there's, again, it depends on what you got into the industry for. And I think there's an element of truth in both, right? I mean, you have to, I wouldn't ever apologize for, charging a certain amount, or I wouldn't ever apologize for really wanting to make a sale. But in the same breath, people are very quick to pick up if they're just a kind of a commodity to be traded. If they're just, and there's a balancing act. You do have to have that personalized experience. You do have to remember your members. You do have to remember, what injuries, very often, what stuff is going on in their personal life, because you get somebody coming in and their head just will not be in the game. And as you were saying, it's about well-being. It's the physical and the mental. It's what goes on between the ears can be a big can make a big difference as well. People really appreciate they appreciate the sessions and how hard they are, but what they'll appreciate and what they'll remember and what will keep them coming back is the tap on the shoulder saying, are you all right, or how are you getting on, or how did this go for you in your personal life and stuff like that, But have you ever heard of the Pareto distribution by any chance?
Boy, hit me with
so it's a weird rule, all right. Now, if it's said, just from being in sales, this is bred into you from day one. 80% of your revenue tends to come from the top 20% of your customers, and this is a kind of a mathematical anomaly that can be found in a whole load of different ways. If you look at, let's say, the most productive employees of a company, 20% of the employees will do about 8 activity. If you look at, time spent on your daily activities, 20% of your time will be the most, will basically be 80% of the most productive things that you actually do. It's a really weird rule, but it just, the reason I bring it up is because what you say about protecting the house, about making sure that customers are being looked after, not worrying about kind of big volumes of sales, but worrying about, your captive audience and kind of keeping the people that you have, and making sure that they're getting the best of you. It straight away, it just reminds you of, that's the Pareto distribution in action right there. And it's not something, because an awful lot of personal trainers, they're personal trainers. They're not necessarily, they may not necessarily be used to kind of, deal with businesses and stuff like that in the same way that I've kind of built a career in doing it.
Yeah.
But it's one of the universal rules where you will get basically 80% of your money will always come from your top 20% of your clients. You get people that will come in for maybe a month, maybe 60, 90 days, and then they leave. Yes. And it's a kind of a seasonal thing, where you get your, as I said, by being genuine and by being authentic, you end up with, kind of the type of business that you've managed to build quite successfully. How long have you guys been in business, actually? When did you go? When were you founded?
We had our first birthday in February. So look, if
Hey.
exactly, we did it to 1 year, and then the coronavirus hit. So hey, look, we made it to our first birthday. So the way I personally see it is, like you said, it was probably the scariest thing I've ever done in terms of like opening my own place and opening my own gym. And when I came about, only for the injury that I had with MMA in terms of the vertigo and the brain fog and all that, I battled with it for 3 years and just couldn't shake it. So obviously getting hit in the head wouldn't be something wise to keep doing with that. So finally said, my psychologist asked me after one of my training sessions, he said, Andy, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And basically, this is what I'd do if I wasn't afraid. It wasn't anything to do with fighting. I had to be open my own facility. So it's been scary, but you know what? We're enjoying the whole roller coaster ride, and it is, there's no doubt about it. It's a scary time at the moment for all small businesses. Like, you know what I mean? The thing for a lot of people to realize is, it comes back even to mental health, is that, it's okay not to be okay. And I think, there's a lot of people, there are a lot of businesses, the more I talk to as well, we're all in the same boat. We all have that worry of, like, our rent, our rates, or the insurance, tax, all that overheads that we have, and there's no wage potentially coming in now at the moment, or if there is, maybe it's not that maximum of a wage whatever you had before. But I see there's a lot of positivity out there too. I think landlords, if you have a conversation with them, they can be quite flexible with you as well. And my landlord's been very good to us. I'm very grateful. Marina's said it to me before. I think we won the landlord lottery getting our landlord that we have. He's helped us out so much. There is help there, but I think it's like with anything, you just have to be prepared to ask as well, Ross.
Yeah. You go at the door, as I said, with any great training sessions. If once you take ego out of the equation and you know what to ask for and how to ask for it, it can make a big difference. So what's the next? If you look at kind of how the coronavirus has panned out in likes of Wuhan, I think they had their first cases about November, December time.
Yeah.
They're only kind of getting a grip on it now, where they're getting, they've had a couple of days, I think, where they haven't had any cases. So if you think about, okay, let's say December, January, February, March, it'll be kind of April, I suppose, before things will return to normal. So that's kind of 5 months. If we track to the same kind of timeline, which I think we probably will, we're going to be talking about, so March, April, May, June, July, August, about August, September time before we'll be able to kind of pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. What's on your cards? What do you kind of have on your roadmap for the next couple of months that you're going to try and do differently in order to respond to the situations? Everyone putting content online, stuff like that. I was just wondering, do you have anything maybe in the pipeline that you're able to share that is going to kind of keep you guys taking over for the next while?
Yeah, look, as I said to you, I think it comes back to each individual gym or whatever, their overall vision. And for me, our vision, we talked about this yesterday, was about creating a place where people want to go around because they have to go, right? So that's what I'm doing with the content online. I know what you say, it could be 5 months by the time this whole thing settles right down. But I just feel like now is a chance to really self-audit. Like I said, I know you're talking about financially and that as well. I get that. If I'm honest, if I've got 5 months of this, there could be an MMA comeback on the cards. My God, I'm in serious shape by doing all these 5-6 days a week, these live workouts and everybody. I could even move down to flyweight and be using so much here for that. But no, I think anyone who follows our page, we're pretty creative and we're pretty innovative. I've always in any job I've worked, even when I got to work in White's, one of the first things I did was me and Marina again, we helped me out massively with that. But I had loads of ideas for class changes and names and getting instructors to teach classes that they enjoy teaching. That's the most important thing, is to teach things you enjoy teaching, because people feed off that energy that you have. If you put me on a step aerobics class, you are not going to get the same Andy Murphy on that step. I guarantee you that. I just don't enjoy step aerobics. And that's a fact. I'm not lying here on this. You know, I think it's so important for instructors to teach what they enjoy teaching and show what they're good at and show their strengths and maximize their strengths and compromise for their weaknesses. And it's one of the first things I did, like I said, when I was manager with Whites, I went around to all the trainers, asked them all what do they enjoy teaching. You know, I had a female instructor. She was over 50 years of age, phenomenal instructor, lovely lady. And she goes, I want to teach. I'd love to do a class for some of the older adults. So she did that. We called it Fabulous at 50. Like, you know, and then I had a bodybuilder, like ripped to death. He's as strong as an ox. And he wanted to teach a boot camp class now in the high performance, because, you know, he's into that sort of stuff. And all those numbers started rising. And there wasn't any miracle. It's just people were teaching now what they enjoy teaching. And I think people feed off that energy then. You know, see that the instructor enjoys that. So for me, my goals for the next 5 months, keep doing what I enjoy doing. If I don't enjoy doing something, I'm not going to do it, because people are going that feed off that energy. So at the moment, I'm enjoying everything. Why? Because I enjoy doing what I do. So I'm just putting that in there. Like I said, even with the background here, the round time was here, brought lights out from the gym to create that energy, because I love the lights out classes, and just put them in here. In terms of bringing in income and stuff, like, I'll probably have to keep coming up with something, whether it be like you say, you're going predominantly online and doing certain online services and that then as well. But if I don't want to do it, Ross, I'll be totally honest with you, I'm not going to do it, because that's the energy I project all the time. I always talk about that. If you're not happy doing something, then what are you doing it for? And now is maybe that perfect time. You've got people have what you just said there. Now you asked me a question. 5 months. People have got 5 months nearly now to figure out, like, you know, what do I enjoy doing? Do a self audit on myself. What do I not enjoy doing? What would I like to change? Now's the time where people can really hone in on personal growth and self development. Myself and Marina have to sign up to a free course today on the science of well-being. I think it's just a course on Yale. It's just an online course. It's like 44 euro or something like that. They keep me ticking over. So it's like 20 hours of that. But again, it just comes down to another approach, and there's loads of different things we can do. Some fantastic trainers out there and stuff as well to network with. And like, if I'm honest, there's probably another thing I will do in the next 5 months is continue to network the hell out of it. Like, just talking to other people, like you're doing here with me today. You know, I was on the radio yesterday and you're ringing me today. It's lovely to have a conversation. I just love talking and just picking people's brains. Because nobody knows everything. You know what I mean? Nobody knows everything. So the more we can kind of delve into different areas and just, you know, what would I say? Use what's useful and discard what's not, as Bruce Lee once said, you know, and just add it to your game and make yourself a better, more rounded person. So that's the plan for me for the next 5 months, and have the crack along the way, Ross, you know, from the comfort of my own home.
Definitely. That totally makes sense. It's one of the things that, again, looking at this from a slightly different perspective, from sales and trying to sell complicated bits of software into big kind of global corporate entities, you have to be able to break down kind of what's the big picture, what's the overall direction that I want to go, and what are the day-to-day activities that I'm going to do in order to get there. And if you can't kind of connect the two, and you'd be amazed at the amount of people where they don't have that kind of vision. Talking about, you know, what you were talking about sprinting earlier on, about having just tunnel vision, about knowing what the end of the line, knowing about what you're working towards, and then using that as a motivational factor. Because I mean, it doesn't matter what business you're running, or if you're in sales, or if you're, you know, whatever it is, there's going to be stuff that you hate doing. But if you know that by doing that stuff, you're going to get to where you want to go, it'll make it worth it. And you know, you can kind of trick. I often use that to trick my brain. I've used a kind of a value pyramid where You have your vision statement about where you want to get to over the next kind of, 5 years. And underneath that, you'll have a set of core strategies, usually about 3 or 4 core strategies. And each one of those strategies will have a set of day-to-day kind of things that you need to get done. And it's a bit like spinning plates, where you need to pay attention to kind of each one. And it's really important as well, I think, to celebrate the victories that you get. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that will have a lot to celebrate over the next while. But if you're specific about your goals, and if you can see, okay, I've done X, Y, Z, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, pause for breath and just enjoy that fact.
Yeah.
And that pat on the back and realign, and then, don't pause for too long, keep pushing. But I think that kind of mirrors sort of what you were saying about, what you intend on doing over the next couple of months anyway. And using the time to self-invest as well. So that's one of the things that I find really interesting about. And again, I haven't been in the fitness industry for that long, but from what I've seen, there tends to be 2 types of personal trainers. There are the ones that got into it because they just didn't want to work in an office and they wanted to do something different, and they get their PT cert over a couple of months. Some of them, I think, you can even become a qualified personal trainer over a weekend. And they just, they go about their day to day and stuff like that, and they're not that vested or that interested. But then you get the other ones, and there's guys going around who are personal trainers, but I swear their knowledge of anatomy and their knowledge of how the body responds and the wealth of experience that they built up, they should have PhDs or they should have masters, but they don't, because they're personal trainers. And I think it's those guys that are continually investing in themselves. I think they'll do all right. I genuinely, I think they've got so much knowledge that they just need to sort of send that out into the marketplace, and they'll be doing all right. But I think probably the other guys that are kind of not that interested in it, they might struggle, because they probably haven't decided where they want to go in the industry, or kind of what they want to do, or what, where to go.
Yeah.
What you actually aiming for,
Yeah, totally. But I think maybe you named two dynamics there. You got some of the people who maybe, they're really nice people or whatever, and they can communicate with people, but they don't really have their qualifications, or they're just on a weekend, they've just done a bit in the gym.
Yeah.
So they're actually quite nice. But when it comes to actually teaching technique or being able to get someone into a better stage or whatever of fitness, that they actually can't maybe get that across. And then there's other people that I know who have phenomenal wealth of knowledge, but maybe they're a bit uptight, or they're not uptight. I think that's the wrong word. They're maybe too afraid to put themselves out there. And if I'm honest, I was kind of that way for a while. It's kind of, I can't really do that. I can't. What if I say this and someone thinks that I'm no good, or I'm this or I'm that? And do you know what, Ross? If I'm honest, now it needs to start happening for a lot of these knowledgeable guys. I've messaged some of my friends with this stuff as well. I've been kind of messaging some of my guys that I'm pretty close with. I'm like, look, you're a phenomenal trainer. Now is the time you need to put yourself out there. You need to get confident. Just throw yourself out there. I said, some of my friends that are, really good personal trainers have fought in MMA, they fought under the lights and that. I'm like, just, man, if you can make that walk similar to myself, you can surely put yourself in front of a camera for a couple of minutes and do a bit of a workout, or get what I see every day with you personally across to a wider audience. Yeah. So I think there's still a lot of people like that as well, that maybe they're just afraid to come out, and they literally spread their wings. So maybe a message I would cross to some people like that is like, don't worry what people think of you. Like, I think in the fight game, that's something that helped me a lot. I was building maybe confidence in the sense of the fight game. There's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that's not being talked about. So, if someone wants to see you knock someone out or get knocked out, they're buying a ticket to watch you. So I think I've brought an element to that now in the last maybe year since I opened. I said, you know what? Look, I'm doing this since I'm like 16. What am I waiting for? I'm my biggest critic, and I've probably been holding myself back. It's probably been a good thing in a way because I'm 34 now. I'm doing this since like I'm 16. I obviously graduated from the IT when I was 23. It didn't happen overnight. I'm grateful for all the failures that I've had. I know everyone talks about that. We don't go looking for failure. We kind of end up stumbling across it a little bit. Like, we put ourselves out there trying to achieve, we fail. But by hunting for the moon, as they say, you do kind of land amongst the stars. So, like I said, we're in a trying situation now at the moment. I put myself out there, and I will continue to do so. And I'll certainly try and get my friends and fellow colleagues who I've worked with, who I know are phenomenal trainers. I'll certainly do my best to promote those guys as well, and ladies that I've worked with throughout this tough time,
How do you actually identify because one of the things you said there that was really interesting about you use criticism. You're your own kind of worst critic, I suppose, but you're not afraid to put yourself out there, and then you use feedback. You take on board what's useful, and you kind of get rid of what isn't. How have you kind of developed that skill over the years to kind of recognize, let's say, a valid critique that will make you more bulletproof as a personal trainer providing a service, or make you more bulletproof as a business providing a service, versus stuff that's, just like, that's not going to...
No. The biggest thing for me, Ross, if I'm totally honest with you, was when I got working with a sports psychologist in my MMA career. I met Richard Shanahan, a really good friend, a guy I would call a close friend now. Richard Shanahan, I'll give the link now, Inspire Sports Performance. A phenomenal, to say, you see all these different people are out there now, and they're again, probably Richard's another example. If I'm honest, I'm trying to fire stuff for Richard, because I'm like, Richard, if you can get into the heads of MMA fighters, they're some of the toughest guys to break down and get inside, let's just say, then you can deal with like the general public and everyday people. Because as fighters are meant to be these tough guys that we don't show emotion, we don't show fear, we don't show sadness, or because that's a sign of weakness. But the thing is, once I started to work with Richard, it really opened up a lot of doors. I started to realize that I always had the key inside me to open the door. I just needed to use the fucking key. And it really instilled a belief in myself. And that question I go back to, I was in the dressing room with Team Rhino 4 weeks out from fighting on Bellator. And he just asked me in the dressing room, he said, Andy, I'm going to leave you with this one question today. What would you do if you weren't afraid? I had a 2-hour drive back home from Rhino in Finglas to my home here in New Ross. And I had a really good think about it. And I was like I said to you, this behind me, Urban Gym, was my fear. It wasn't fighting in front of however many people on Bellator, one of the biggest shows in the world. It was, my fear was opening a gym. So that's where it was at. And if I'm honest, if I was to say to you, I've got a psychologist, you would think that I'm mad, or people watching this would think I was a bit mad, it's a bit cracked. But because I say sports psychologist, it sounds cool. So
absolutely, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of athletes have to sports psychologists, but essentially psychologists, it's all to do with the mind. So again, I don't want to get too higgledy-piggledy on this sort of stuff, but I do want to get across that, I think that was one of the biggest changes, and the biggest switch for me was I'm in control. I control my reality. And again, I don't want to sound like one of them, maybe like Conor McGregor and stuff, where he's like, I visualize this. He did, I guess. And I did visualize where I'm at now. I didn't visualize a coronavirus happening. I didn't see that happening. But I do feel, we don't have to do anything, but we deal with the consequences of our choices. So the coronavirus is here now. If I decide to go into my shell, well, Urban Gym's not going to be there. I'm not going to have anything coming in here. I'm not going to have potentially members coming back to me if I just completely close shop and just go into my shell. But if I choose to get out and be proactive, be productive, and enjoy myself and enjoy the time, I'm healthy. I don't have any respiratory issues now at the moment. I'm not on a ventilator. I'm not waiting for a ventilator. It's all about perspective. You know what I mean? So I know people can sit here and worry about money and this and that, but like there's going to be a lot more worse off people than us right now, Ross. And I'm pretty grateful for where I'm at. If I can help out a few people on the way through this, I'll be more than happy to do so. Like, but that's the biggest change in my mindset is having someone like Richard on board that I can give a call and just have a chat about certain things,
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. And again, I think it comes back to like the personal trainers. It's not being afraid to kind of bounce ideas off of different people. As especially as an entrepreneur, you can be very worried about somebody. If I shared this with them, they could take that idea, or they could do something, or do that. An awful lot of the time, you're better off just bouncing an idea and. Again, it coming from a sales perspective. So big time, I've spent a lot of time cold calling random people in these big in these big companies, trying to get a couple of minutes of their time to explain what we do, why I think that it would help their company, and it literally comes down to I've got about 7 seconds. And in that 7 seconds to make an impression, they're going to decide to continue the conversation, or they're going to decide to hang up on another sleazy salesman that's just annoying them with these useless cold calls. And what I've done over the years is any sort of little short pitch that I've tried to create, I've always made a point of sending it to as many people as possible, and as many of my even people that might be a little bit more junior than me in the company, and literally ask them in the email, can you tear this apart? Can you just rip this apart back to its bare bones? And once they do that, they send it back to me, and I build it up again. And I could go through that process maybe 2 or 3 times. And by the time we get to the end of that process, I've got an incredibly tight, 7 to 10 seconds of an introduction that is going to maximize my chances of success. But you have to go through the painful process of letting people tear your work apart in order to build it back up again and make it a bit more bulletproof. I always call it like you're basically, you have to distill it down, and you go through a process of triple distilling it, so that what you're left with at the end is far tougher and far more robust, and it will stand up to scrutiny a lot better. But that whole process starts with sharing what you have in your head, and sometimes getting it down on paper. Which it's actually quite interesting that you're talking about the psychology side of things as well, because I think that's probably going to be so prevalent for so many people over the next while. And one of the sort of big advocates for that would have to be Tyson Fury, and to a certain extent Conor McGregor with how he's come back. I think he if you look at his demeanor over the last sort of engagement, it wasn't. I don't think it's the same man. I think it's a lasting change that is made. I know that he had an awful lot of work that he did with Tony Robbins, who's responsible for an awful lot of huge success. Yeah, so but you've got the likes of that. You've got the likes of Tyson Fury, who is the world heavyweight champion, and he was ready to drive himself off a bridge. He was, over 10, 15 stone overweight or something ridiculous like that. And, I think it's very kind of poignant what you said about, the fact that we put sports in front of psychologists. It makes it more kind of socially acceptable and sort of removes the stigma a little bit. But very often it's a case of just, if you feel yourself that you're looking down the barrel of a gun, metaphorically speaking, or if you find yourself standing over a massive pit, just sort of share. If you need expert professional consultation, do that. You might need to just bounce it off of the idea of a friend or something like that. And but I think
I think anyone that's successful has some form of success has a specific goal or target, or maybe not even goal. I think it's setting like habits, like creating like sustainable habits to be able to achieve that goal, that dream, that vision. Because even we talk about the fitness industry and all these transformations, this and transformation that. I say, Jesus, if I hear the word. Honestly, I've got this here behind me. If I was to get everyone that comes into Urban Gym on the first day and say, sorry, pal, you just take off your top there, we get to take a picture there, and take another picture of you there in 6 weeks' time. If you follow this diet, you do your program, you do your training, you're going to look great. But you might not actually feel great. And the other thing as well is that you're not going to be able to sustain it for a long period of time. So you had, for example, there, you just made a perfect example. You had that goal of being on your couch, with the stove lighting, the sun there with you. That is a really clear vision, and that is going to get you to where you need to be. But I can imagine sustaining that level of work for your whole career till like Ross's 60 would not be sustainable. But because you were like, okay,
not at all.
I can do this for a year. I can put this in for a year because I know what's coming. Whereas for me with the fitness industry, sometimes, unfortunately, I've seen it over the years. I'm in it a long time now. I think a lot of people, they value the look of a picture more so than how they feel up here. I've looked great. I hear Mr. Dane here. I've looked great on the scales, weighing in for like a Bama or a Bellator, a 6-pack, and a bit of a deltoid showing and biceps and all that. You're looking good on the scales. You're looking good in front of the crowd for that. But you don't feel that great. You're dehydrated. You're tired. You're cranky. You can't wait. You have cravings for whatever food you've been missing out on for a few weeks. So it's all about sustainability. And even for me, coming back to now with the coronavirus, it's crucial. I think it's really crucial. People look after their health and their well-being. So whether that be what we just talked about, picking up the phone, ringing a friend you've not talked to for a while, tell them how you feel, Because again, even like we all have the demons in our head, and your thoughts affect your feelings, which will then affect your behavior. So if we all go down the line of coronavirus is here, and there's more cases there, more on the radio, and it's making us feel more anxious, and then that affects your behavior. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to leave the house at all. You're not even going to go for a walk down the road or whatever. Then we're all doomed if we got that sort of mentality. But having that, like I said, that clear positive vision and is going to make a big change for many people. I feel, So this sustainability, Ross. That's the big thing, isn't it? I waffled there. Sorry, I often go off on tangents.
No. You're absolutely fine. But I think once people realize that we are kind of behind China and Italy in terms of how this thing is progressing. But it won't be like this forever. And adopt that clear kind of strategy, adopt that clear vision, figure out, it could be a period where, because so much noise is now silenced, because you don't have all of these distractions, you can actually have a serious think about, okay, how am I going to build a long-term sustainable career in this industry? What am I going to do differently? Because we were saying this the other night. There is so much free information online. Nobody needs to go to a personal trainer to find out how to lose weight. Everybody knows how to, intuitively, everybody knows how to lose weight or how to build muscle. There's so many. You go onto bodybuilding.com, you Google Arnold Schwarzenegger, you could do whatever it is. So much information is there for you. And the role of the personal trainer, I don't think the role of the personal trainer, to a certain extent it is to educate, and it's because there's so much misinformation, there is certainly an element of that. But I think the primary role is one of accountability. And, you know, over the next couple of months, do you need to be face-to-face in order to drive accountability?
Yes.
Not necessarily. I don't think so. But, you know, what do you think about that?
Well, I agree. You don't have to. You could be, you know, text messaging, voice messaging. You don't have to be in person. What I would say is, like, the reason I've done my live videos and people ask me, Andy, just you do loads of free classes and this and that. But I'm honest, it just keeps our community together. I think it lifts the spirits of people. I think that's where it all comes back to. The moment is making people feel good. For me, for years, training with Miles Price and Mick Brennan in Kilkenny, there was just the three of us at the time. So we were all fighting on the professional scene. But the fact that, say, I was traveling an hour to Kilkenny, so if I told Mick and Miles that, you know, we have our times for training, and they're relying on me as much as I'm relying on them to be there at 11 o'clock Monday through to Friday, and then Saturday we're going to Dublin to sparring. So we're all relying, we're like a tripod there. Like, so, you know, if I'm not there, then Miles doesn't have another variable for his training, and same for Mick or whatever. So the three of us were great in that sense. But again, it all came back to accountability because, you know, they knew I was making that trip. And then at the same time, too, I knew that they were going to be there. And then if I wasn't there, I was letting them down. So everybody, I feel, needs an element of accountability. It's like, you know, Usain Bolt is the best sprinter in the world, but he still needs a coach. You know, Roy McIlroy golf, you know, he still needs a coach. He still needs someone on those days when you don't want to get your ass up off the couch, or you don't want to get up out of the bed or whatever. Yes, we all do. I think that's another really important thing to get across is, like, as trainers, sometimes people look to us and think, oh, we're always motivated, we're always keen to go. No, we're not. No, I was there on Friday. I was like, oh my God, I've got a live workout. My body is a bit. So I'm after telling everybody I'm playing the game of cards tonight. So I got to do this. And, I think one of the first cards that came off the chest, my shoulders, triceps killed me. I think it was like a 10 of spades. So I had like 10 presses to do straight away. I was like, ow, you know what I mean? But again, the accountability of knowing that, like, I'm on camera on me. I've got people tuning in to watch a live workout. So when they want to see me do well, they want to see me fail. I better turn up. So, I mean, so accountability is huge. There's lots of different ways you can do it. Live workouts, you can set up your groups, you can set up, you know, certain PTs have their small groups and still maybe charging for them. That's totally cool. Everyone each to their own. But yeah, there's certainly lots of ways to be accountable. But I think it comes back to trainers really protecting the house and looking after their clients and actually picking up a call and actually asking, how are you? You know, in terms of, like, not just how are you and expect an on-brand back, but how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you getting? Are you okay? So and that's the more personal touch, you know. Because for me, my business, I've never been one of them trainers that wants to just get a big, massive crowd in for one-off session, then take a big picture and look at me, look how great I am. I've got 50 people there for a free workout, and then they're not back the following week. I would rather have 10 people and those 10 people be in all the time throughout the course of the year and build a connection than just do a random, oh, hey, quick, all flood to me because I'm great and I'm doing this for half nothing or whatever, and then let's get a picture. I don't think it's about that. I think you want to add value to people's lives, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was saying that you had your MMA commitments. You were obviously commuting quite far. You know, I mean, if you were commuting an hour up and then an hour back again, there's 2 hours out of your day. You're obviously an entrepreneur as well, and you have to get your own training in. But you're also, you know, you've got your family. You know, a relatively young family and all that. How do you balance all of that? How do you kind of how do you juggle the different commitments?
Yeah, no. So if I'm honest, like, you know, I do believe there's that saying, you know, give a busy man a job to do and he'll do it well. There's no doubt about it. I think one of the biggest changes to anybody's life is when they become a parent. And even for me, when having a sports psychologist helped massively that, like, with Richard, because that's a performance issue. You know, you go from not having the responsibility of having another body to look after I think as a male as well. I know we get a lot of flack sometimes, as in males as well. Talk about here, males get a lot of flack sometimes if oh, they get to sleep in another room or this or that, not doing night feeds, blah blah blah. But if I'm honest, when I had fights coming up, I would sleep in a spare room. But if I'm totally honest with you, Ross, it was still one of the hardest things to do because I love my wife obviously a lot. She's my business partner as well. But you still don't get a great night's sleep because you're in bed. You still maybe hear the child waking up, which would have been Nathan for me or Brooke as well. And you hear your partner getting up then as well, and you then automatically have this subconscious feeling in your mind that's like, I should be getting up, I should be up. So you're not getting that same level of sleep. And obviously anyone who's into fitness will know sleep now is a major talking point in terms of recovery and repair and all of that. So that's a huge thing. I do feel that having a good network around you helps massively. So I do have a supportive wife, which helps hugely. But then outside of that, then I just would control the things that I can control. So, getting up on time, having a decent routine in terms of my breakfast, having that bag and gear bag ready the night before, ready to go to training. And then when I'm going, at the time I was working WT Arena, I would be going to directly work in the arena and have my meals prepped. Everyone was pretty much strategically done. So I'd be Monday through Saturday, I was literally like a robot. I was get up in the morning, breakfast, go drop the kids to creche, go train, travel to work, get my extra training session, come back, go to bed. Kind of like what you were saying there about your own life, Ross. You had that goal in your head of, the house and all of that then as well, and the stove and your son being there. I had that goal all the time of I can do this. I've got this fight now. I'll push now till here, and then I'll get that week download, that deload phase, and then we'll get ready to go again, kind of. So again, it comes back to the vision and how much you want to do something. Now, I retired from MMA in terms of competitive MMA after Bellator last year. So now I say retired, I'm 34, I'm still fit, I'm still pretty healthy. I could probably fight tomorrow if I had to. But to be honest, all my energy is going in the gym. That's where my vision, again, comes back to vision. That's my vision right now. That's where I'm going after. So, I think that's where it comes back to this, knowing what you want to do and where you want to go. Your why has to be a big thing. Your why has to be a big why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's one of those things as well. For very often, the why that you think it is on the surface, you have to dig a few layers beneath that to find kind of the core why, really. That just comes from a sales perspective. If I ask somebody that comes in and they okay, I need a personal trainer. Well, why do you need a personal trainer? Well, because I want to lose weight. But you don't need a personal trainer for that. Yeah. Why do you feel that you need a personal trainer? And and just to get people thinking, because if they can't answer those questions, it's just I tend to kind of strip line those people and be like, do you know what? If you invested your money in let's say a nutritional course or something like that, you would be able to hit your goals far more effectively than if you came to me. You'd lose a few pounds, we could do all of that kind of stuff, but it's not really kind of what you're looking at. And that's, again, from working in sales and just applying some of those skills and some of those methodologies to the kind of the psychology of people that ring you up and say, I need you as a personal trainer to kind of achieve X, Y, and Z. I want to lose weight. Okay, well, how much weight do you actually want to lose? I don't know. Whereas if you get somebody else that comes in and they're like, I have a wedding coming up. It's on this date. I want to be this size to fit into this dress for this wedding. That person is going to do exactly what you tell them to do. And there's going to be no quibbles. There's going to be no questions. There's going to be no complaints about it because they know why they're actually doing something. There's a time frame. In sales, there's always one of the most useful things I learned when I was working in BMC software was the 3 whys. Why anything? Why now? And why do you need us to help you with it? Yeah. And if they can answer those the three whys, chances are you're going to have a client that you will be delighted in terms of what they'll be able to achieve, and you'll be able to create that relationship where you will both be able to, because as personal trainers, I think we feed off of their results a lot more than they do. I think when we see a difference in a client in terms of they couldn't do this yesterday, now they can do it today. Yeah. That makes it all sort of worthwhile. But the types of clients that are going to be able to make that kind of journey are the ones that have, again, it comes back to that clarity of vision. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this now? And why am I doing this with Andy? Because Andy has the pedigree, the expertise, and he is the best man to deliver that kind of roadmap for me to get to really where I want to go.
So it comes back to that individual. Like, you're the best fit for me. Like, I will respond to your style of training or your style of coach. I've seen, again, this comes back to what we talked about, the early start of a conversation tonight, in the sense of people have the opportunity now to see different styles of teaching and coaching and methodology and all that then as well, and see which style suits them. Do you know what I mean? Who they're really gonna thrive off being around. So I always talk about people either raise your game or lower your game. So in terms of who you surround yourself with. So it's very important to surround yourself with people who are going to build you up. Because for me, I don't go around, and this isn't like, what would I say is, I don't really know how to put across this, but like, I genuinely surround myself with people who are going to really make me feel good or bring me to another level. I really try not to lower myself to, I don't surround myself with people I call energy vampires. People that suck the life out of me. I don't. I used to give up a lot of my time for that, but I used to find my energy was getting zapped. And if you surround yourself a lot with that, then it's like going to bring you one way. So, and that's what I'm talking about for the general population. It's about find people who are going to make you feel good. You're not going to feel bad being surrounded maybe by that trainer that's wearing a nice tight top T-shirt or whatever, and they're looking ripped, and they're like, "Oh, I love to look like that." But every day you look at that person, not making you feel good. They're just making you feel maybe also insecure and not good in your own body. You want someone who's going to make you feel good. One, being around them, and two, in terms of how you feel. Because what we talked about earlier was like how you feel is where it's at. So I mean, I know a lot of guys and ladies who look great on the outside, but inside they're not feeling too well, or and mentally and all that. They're not all that there. And I'm sure you're the same with the fitness side of things. So there's a lot of insecure people out there, people who purely go off success as how somebody looks or appears to look. And fitness is so much more than that, as you just said there. Seeing someone come in, maybe lift a little bit heavier, or be able to maybe make that jump up onto a box for the first time. They have a fear of heights, and they made a jump on it. It's like a 24-inch box, and like that's a huge achievement for them. Or smashing a 1K goal or whatever it is for themselves, or running a 5K. Everyone's idea of success is different. The same with business. Some businesses like, I'll only be successful when I have however many number of members or this or that. Like, for me, I feel successful because I feel, and by the way, I don't have a crazy volume of members or anything, by the way. I'm just at this moment of time, I feel very happy with where I'm at in terms of my own health and well-being, having gone through an injury nightmare, having worked up the courage to open up a gym, and then having met so many amazing people I now call not members, but genuinely friends. And as cheesy as that may sound, I live in a small area in New Ross, and I didn't know anybody a year and a half ago because I was like a hermit in this town. I was like, I'd get up in the morning, go drop the kids to flesh, travel to train, and go to work, as in the WNC arena. Whereas now, I know so many people in New Ross, and generally people stop and have a chat in the street, and I have loads of time for everybody. You can probably guess what I think we're on this conversation an hour and a half now. I talk to the wall, but that's what I just genuinely love that. I think that's one of the biggest benefits to health and fitness is just that sense of community,
Yeah, definitely. And look, I mean, as the next couple of months unfold, it'd be really cool to kind of have more of these conversations, probably with a bigger audience, or maybe even a few more people or something. I know you've got a pretty cool podcast already that you've had a couple of people on. In fact, do you know what? I may drop down to you at some stage, some weekend when this is when the social distancing isn't as strict. I may pop down and see what it's all about, because I've had literally zero exposure to the MMA world. I've never done it. It'd be completely alien for training and stuff like that. But I think it'd be enjoyable. Now it'd be good crack to do.
That's what's so cool. I love showing people the MMA side and the BJJ side, because I think people see the fight and the violence in the cage, but they don't see the fitness element and the real like camaraderie that goes on between people in the training.
Yeah.
So many people do MMA now, BJJ, that don't even compete, but they just enjoy the training. So because it gets them in a good space in terms of mentally and physically, and they're just fans of the sport. Yeah. That's really cool. It's what I do now. It's what keeps me sane. I stay doing a bit of paddle, do a bit of grappling, do a bit of rolling, and I just don't compete anymore, but I have the crack doing it. So more than welcome, Ross. I'd love to introduce you.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, look, as you're saying there, we've been chatting for about an hour and a half. I think we've covered some really good pieces around having clarity of vision, realizing that this situation is not going to last forever, but you can use this time wisely to develop yourself, to develop your vision, to set out your goals and your roadmap, and be very specific and try and hold yourself accountable. But at the same time, sharing what's on your mind, and not feeling like, as a personal trainer, that you can't talk to other personal trainers in your area or in your field of expertise or whatever, to kind of bounce fresh ideas off of 100%. And figure out as an industry how we're going to keep things going. So is there anything else that you'd like to kind of share with people, or any kind of parting thoughts that you'd like people to know before we wrap up?
Just it's something we have on the wall. Just I keep it short. I say, you got this. Whatever your goal is, whatever you're looking to get after, just you've got this. It's all in you. Just get after it. Just know your vision and get after it.
Good stuff. Well, Andy, thanks a million for joining me. So it was really good chat, and I was delighted as well with the chat that we had yesterday as well. It was as brief as it was. It was good to catch up with old college friends. And look, so we'll be in touch again. So I think this is a connection that we'll definitely would be keeping open. So
sure.
Definitely all the best, and keep in touch.
For sure, Ross. Honestly, thanks so much for your time, and I appreciate you thinking of me for this conversation as well. So thanks so much.
No worries. Take care. Bye.